Hello and welcome to Bite-Sized Books, a series I'm starting here on my channel that is going to break down some personal development books into bite-sized form. If you're new to the channel, my online handle is Minimac, my government name is Ashley, you can call me whatever you like, and today I'll be reviewing Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Now, I have reviewed this on my channel once before, but I did it in like 5 videos that added up to like 2 hours and 15 minutes. This is like over a 10-hour Audible, so I did condense it, but I feel like I could condense it a lot more and make it more bite-sized for you. So just a few questions to start to see if this is a book that could be beneficial for you. Are you scared to fall in love because it hurts too much? Are you pretending to be happy but you're actually suffering because you're lonely? Do you lie about who you are because you feel guilty? Do you lie to people so that they'll like you more? Do you suffer from self-pity? Do you feel like a failure? Are you suffering from, any form of negative emotion? By the end of this, we should be able to enter into the operating system of our subconscious mind, which is where we can do some reprogramming, and that's where the major changes are going to take place, is programming that subconscious mind. Now, it is important to remember that faith is the absolute key to this. There is no room for doubt or negativity or pessimism. And while that sounds daunting at first, I promise you with practice it does come, and that's the idea behind this book, is practicing positivity and letting go of negativity. What we're trying to learn here to do is to think and act greater than what our present circumstance is. I.e., if you're always walking around saying, I'm so broke, I can never afford anything, then you're reaffirming that way of life. And breaking the habit of being yourself means switching over into a different perspective, learning how to focus on the positive, because the more positive you are, the more positive you'll attract. So when feelings become the means of thinking, or if we cannot think greater than we know how we feel, then we can never change. Change is to think greater than how we feel. To change is to act greater than the familiar feelings of the memorized self. There are actually chemicals that are created in our brain that get us addicted to these negative emotions, just like a drug. They become comfortable, they become familiar, so when we try to change, it can often be very uncomfortable in the beginning, but over time, just like quitting the drug of negativity is possible with practice. So one important thing to remember is that when we worry about the future, that worry is based on the constructs of our past. When this occurs, our body doesn't know the difference between what is actually happening now and what has happened in the past. It's just responding out of habit. This means that we're bringing unnecessary negative feelings to a situation that could very well be neutral or even positive, but because it's reminded us of the past, we give an auto response. Instead of giving this auto response, what we'd like to do is try to reprogram our brain to, at the very least, just recognize this as neutral, if not possibly see the positive in it. And the thing about this program, negative response, more often than not, it's completely unnecessary. What our ego is actually for when we feel these negative emotions when we're in a situation, these are things that should only be coming up when our actual safety is threatened, our food, our shelter, etc. But because of our societal constructs, it has seeped into, just interacting with people. Our egos get flared up completely unnecessarily. When these stress responses are triggered, they can actually make you sick, like physically ill. Be it, forms of cancer or colds or flus or just, surprise illnesses. So if what we think on and what we focus on becomes our reality, why could we not use those I'm always broke, I can't afford anything, or I'm always sick, why do I always have to catch colds? If we can use those thoughts or feelings to project a negative outcome, then why can we not use them to project a positive one? A really good example, I think, of how what the power of our mind is capable of is if you're thinking about your partner and your partner is nowhere in your physical presence. You can't smell them, you can't see them, you can't touch them, you can't taste them, you can't hear them. But if you think about being intimate with them, if you close your eyes and just think about it, you become physically aroused. Even though there is no external stimulation whatsoever, this is 100% happening in your head, you still have a physical response to it, getting turned on. So this is essentially what's called creative mode. It's transcending your environment, transcending your body, transcending time even, and going into creation mode. Just a little fun tip I'd like to share. Great book on transcending the big three, body, environment, and time, is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And sometimes if I catch myself, getting caught up in the matrix and getting a little too wrapped up into something that's either about to happen or has just happened, I treat it as if I've passed gas and go, oop, that was just a little Eckhart Tolle. Just a quick way to take note of it and pull myself back into the present moment without shaming myself for slipping back into old learned behaviors. Oops, just a little Eckhart Tolle. And that's because we can self-reflect and choose how we think, act, feel. It's all up to us. Who, what, when, where, why, they're all products of how we think of ourselves. So if we observe our thoughts, we can decide whether or not they're true and decide whether or not we want to give any more energy to them. Learned helplessness and memorize suffering is unnecessary. It's really time to stop firing and wiring your brain with negativity. It is a computer and you can program it. And if you find yourself struggling to get to the other end of the spectrum and be practicing positivity, be it with others, your environment, or even yourself, a good stepping stool and tool is to try practicing compassion and empathy instead, and that goes for yourself as well. A big way Joe Dispenza, it's actually within a 4-week program, teaches us how to do these things is all through meditation, and I'm not going to cover that on bite-sized books. This is just a quick synopsis to give you an idea and see if this is a book that could be for you or not. To choose your state of being is to choose your reality. If you can emotionally condition yourself through meditation to be grateful for your dream life before it even exists, you've got to live it in your head as if you've already have it, then you experience the future as if it was happening now, and you learn to be grateful now. The reason this is so important is because we are made of matter, and matter consists of over 80% energy. So if we control our energy, we are controlling our matter, which is us. So through this meditation, you'll learn how to drop out of your head and into your heart and allow yourself to embody the traits to create a better reality. The frequencies you send into the quantum field are what comes to fruition. You have the control, you have the power. So many people get caught up in this never-ending search for pleasure to avoid pain at all costs. What they don't realize is that void's never going to be filled until you learn to shift your perspective. It can feel like a hedonistic life, unconsciously driven by some feeling that just won't seem to go away. And to maintain an ideal for others, i.e. present yourself as something that you're not, is really a strategy to avoid those impending feelings from ever catching us. But how long can we maintain this illusory image? We all wear masks in the world. It's really just kind of part of protecting ourselves, protecting our ego. But once you take that mask off and you're completely free to be who you really are inside and who you really want to be, until we can wake up to the truth of ourselves and take those masks off, this is never going to end. Take your mask off and the lie is over. During these changes, you may lose some people on the way. That's okay. They're not ready to hear the truth, and once upon a time, you weren't either. There's no room for judgment in this. Just try to, at the very least, have some empathy for them, have some understanding for them, send them their love and light, and release them, and hope that they can eventually learn these things along the way too. It's really driven home in this book that true happiness has nothing to do with pleasure. Real joy comes from within, not our external environment. It's really put quite simply if you think about it. If you feel like you're in a place where the walls are closing in on you, instead of using all of your energy to keep those walls from closing in, why not just step into another room? Step into another room and liberate your body from the chains of emotional dependency. So the reason Dr. Joe uses meditation is because it's a way to move beyond your analytical mind and delve deeper into your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is where the bad habits and behaviors that we want to change reside. One direct quote I would like to give, just because I love the way he writes, or I guess speaks, or whatever it is. If your mind still bucks like an unbridled stallion, you must settle into the present moment and relax it. Every time you do this, you're reconditioning your body to a new mind. Be determined, be persistent, be excited, be joyful, be flexible, and inspired. I'm just going to briefly break down the 4-week meditation, just so you have a general idea of what you're getting into. Week 1 is purely induction, which is teaching you how to meditate, or maybe teaching you new ways to meditate. Week 2 is about recognizing, admitting, declaring, and surrendering. Week 3 is about dismantling the memory of the old you. And then the 4th and final week is creating and rehearsing your new life in your mind. There are some questions he lists for you to ask yourself. Things like, what kind of person have I been? What kind of person do I present myself as to the world? How would my closest friends and family describe me? What part of my personality could I work on improving for this week? Etc., etc. Einstein said that no problem could be solved from the same consciousness of mind that created it. Things like survival emotions and limiting states of mind. So if the answer hasn't come to you yet, why not turn to a greater, more resourceful consciousness for the solution? I'm going to share how Dr. Joe ends his meditation. And I think I'll leave it at that. You're going to close your eyes and remember that there is a consciousness greater than you that is all around you. It is with you at all times. And remember that this is real. Contemplate that this consciousness is aware of you and is noticing your intentions. Recall that it is a creator that exists beyond space and time. And say to the creator, if I emulated you as a creator in any way today, please send me signals in the form of feedback. Feedback in my world to let me know that you are noticing my efforts. Make sure to bring it in a way that is least expected so that it wakes me up from this dream and that it leaves no doubt that it has come from you so that I am inspired to do this again tomorrow. It is a very long book. I do highly recommend it though. This is my second time reviewing it. I mean, I've only gone through the actual Audible itself once, but I took a ridiculous amount of notes, and then I went back and reviewed my own personal videos to see what I decided to put in there and condense it down even further. So this is your bite-sized summary of Dr. Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. If there's any books you'd like me to review or any feedback you'd like to provide, I'm always open to constructive criticism or requests or whatever it may be. I hope this helped you in some way, and I'm sending you peace, love, and light. Stay blessed, and bye for now.